Next up, designing successful grant proposals. A lot of people are surprised at the amount of writing and the amount of ingenuity required to design successful grant proposals. A lot of people are actually surprised at at where money usually comes from. So we'll start actually by looking at the table of contents. As with most books, you'll have your general acknowledgement, but then you get into organizing your ideas, monitoring funding sources. That's where that's where you get your money. Establishing the needs for your grant. Why do we need the grant? And then we'll get into the meat of it, actually building the elements of the proposal, evaluating and managing the proposal or the project that comes from it, making a budget for it, the most important step, and then preparing the actual research proposal, and then who are you going to be submitting this proposal to? We'll go over that in Chapter 8, submitting the proposal. So successful grant proposals actually only have about 3 parts to them. You start with a good idea, you locate a source that has already funded similar ideas, and then design craft an idea, your idea, into a well-written statement. So you have to have an idea of what you want to do. Let's say you wanted to start an art exhibit and you needed funding for it. Let's say you're a struggling, starving artist and you wanted to fund an exhibit of your paintings. So that's a good idea. You have the talent, you're a good artist, and you have the paintings, you have a generally positive feedback from friends and family. So you approach someone who has funded similar ideas in the past, maybe an art museum, an art gallery, or just an art connoisseur who maybe would like to see local artists flourish in an otherwise very competitive industry. Next, you design, craft, and develop your idea into a well-written statement. Now I know that I was using the example of artists earlier, and that's actually a good example because half of designing, crafting, and developing your ideas into a well-written statement is it's part, smart writing, but it's part art, and that human ingenuity, that creativity that you get from being an artist, that's actually going to help you a lot in making the well-written statement. Okay, you can't just, as the book says, you can't just crank out a statement. It has to be well-written, carefully prepared. One assumption that people have when making them is that a grant proposal is easy, but it's not. Writing grant proposals can actually be a full-time job. It's actually a full-time art form that people have to understand that takes a lot of time. Next, we're going to go over calculating a budget. There's actually 12 basic principles for calculating a budget for any grant proposal. 1, always follow the guidelines. If you're calculating a budget for a proposal that has been approved or rejected by a credited source, you follow the guidelines that they give you. Never waver from those guidelines, because it could actually automatically just disqualify you from consideration for the grant. And never ask for more than you need. People are gonna deny you if you ask for an exorbitant fund. You get what you earn from it, actually. So if it's hard to get, guess what? It's gonna be a good grant. Next, if it's not in the narrative, it won't get funded. Let's say you just ask for something like because I want it. No, you're gonna need to go over everything that you need, why you need it, and how you need it. Let's say that you're not actually you're forecasting. You don't know what you're gonna need it for. Projections are okay. They're expected in a grant proposal. Next, don't forget fringe benefits. If part of all of the salary is being paid by a grant, so is a proportion of the fringe benefits. That includes healthcare benefits for employees, that includes taxes, that includes everything like that. Next, you get paid in proportion to the work schedule. If you work on a project for 25% of the academic year, then you can make all the grant is 25% of your salary.